morning, everybody. So, hey, I probably shot like 2 or 3 videos this morning. Decided that it was just, it was too much and that it ran on, so I'm going to get rid of them. But here, let's just go with this right out of the horse's mouth.
I think Cuba is, in its own way, if tourism and everything else, it's a beautiful island, great weather. When will the United States do it? I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. That'd be good honor. That's a big honor.
Taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba in some form, yeah. Taking Cuba. I mean, whether I free it, take it, I think I could do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth? They're a very weakened nation right now. They were for a long time. I think Cuba is, in its own way, if they're...
So there's that. There's just Cuba protesting, being in the dark. This guy over here at Frank Acqua, ACQUA.
I think I can do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth? They're a very weakened nation.
If this was Joe Biden saying this shit, you guys would have lost your fucking minds. Rightfully so. If this was your grandfather, at the very least, you would have taken away his car keys by now. Give me a fucking break with this bullshit. Fuck out of here. Listen to this stupid fuck.
I do believe...
Yeah, you know, I gotta say, I'm in agreement. You know, a lot of times it's just best to let them talk for themselves, you know?
Anybody. We're the strongest nation
we don't
in the
need
world.
anybody.
We have the strongest military by far in the world. We don't need them, far more than ours. You know, we get less than 1% of our oil from the Strait. And some countries get much more. Japan gets 95%. China gets 90%. Many of the Europeans get quite a bit. South Korea gets 35%. So we want them to come and help us with the Strait. We don't need anybody.
You know, so let's just read a little letter by a guy by the name of Joseph Kent, National Director, or Director of National Intelligence, National Counterterrorism Center. President Trump, after much reflection, I have decided to resign from my position as Director of the National Counterterrorism Center, effective today. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. All right? I support the values and the foreign policies that you campaigned on in 2016, 2020, 2024, which you enacted in your first term. Until June of 2025, you understood that the wars in the Middle East were a trap that robbed America of the precious lives of our patriots and depleted the wealth and prosperity of our nation. In your first administration, you understood better than any modern president how to decisively apply military power without getting us drawn into never-ending wars. You demonstrated this by killing Qasem Soleimani and by defeating ISIS. That can be argued, the defeating ISIS, but we'll continue. Early in this administration, high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media deployed a misinformation campaign that wholly undermined your America First platform and sowed pro-war sentiments to encourage a war with Iran. This echo chamber was used to deceive you into believing that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States and that you should strike now. There was a clear path to a swift victory. This was a lie and is the same tactic the Israelis used to draw us into the disastrous Iraq war that cost our nation the lives of thousands of our best men and women. We cannot make this mistake again. As a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times and as a Gold Star husband who lost my beloved wife Shannon in a war manufactured by Israel, I cannot support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people nor justifies the cost of American lives. I pray that you will reflect upon what we are doing in Iran, and I'm sorry, the print's super small on this, and who we are doing it for. The time for bold action is now. You can reverse course and chart a new path for our nation, and you can allow us to, or you can allow us to slip further toward decline and chaos. You hold the cards. It was an honor to serve in your administration and to serve our great nation. Joseph Kent, Director, National Counterterrorism Center. I would argue with some points brought up in this, but mostly that's his take on it. Iran posed no threat. You know, I've done a few videos this morning, and there's so much going on in the world that as soon as you go from one point to another, going over Ed and Vincent's diatribe on all things happening with where I live in Mexico, and them selling their products. What we can prove the American government is bought and paid for by Israel. We can prove that the American government actively supports the sexual abuse and victimization of children and actively protects the propagators of such, the perpetuators of such, the people that actually do that. They protect them. They shield their names from public view. We can prove that the American government does not agree in protecting even little schoolgirls, but hits them not only once but twice and then lies about it. We can prove that. You know, I was doing a video earlier today on why I voted for Trump instead of the Libertarian Party candidate Chase Oliver, who I view to be a groomer. Why I wouldn't ever vote for someone that doesn't even know what color they are in Kamala, who she'll pretend like she's Indian, pretend like she's black. I don't care what you are, but be true to yourself. About why I would vote for Trump, even knowing that he had said stuff, take the guns first, due process second, and all these other things. It's crazy to me that out of a country of 330 million people, that we only have those three candidates to choose from. It's crazy to me why government on a local level isn't given more importance than it is on a national level. It's crazy to me why anyone would assume that anyone of European descent would consent to be governed the same way the Native American Indian tribes don't consent to be governed, because they were here before the government, and that's why the Bureau of Indian Affairs exists. But anyone of European descent, even if they were here before the 1776 government was formed, are automatically assumed to consent to be governed by someone that actively goes out of their way to kill children. Something that anybody of any race in this country, I would argue, would be vehemently against. And that if anybody, say you had a Latino, an African American, and a European American, and a Native American, 4 full-grown men walking along in broad daylight, and you saw someone of any complexion running over to victimize a child of any color, I'm going to bet that each one of those 4 men would run over and actively prevent that. But the American government, at the behest of the Israeli government, because they're all basically in the employ of the Israeli government through AIPAC, unfund me YouTube, I don't give a shit, I don't care, because it's what it is, would run over there and bomb a schoolyard full of schoolgirls, not once, but twice, 40 minutes later, and then get on TV and lie about it. I don't know where this all goes. I could sit here and pick this one apart all day about why they would be interviewing someone from Tijuana as opposed to someone from Zacatecas, because they want to sell their mattresses and everything that's going on in the cartel grifter world, which it is. Then I gotta sit here and know that we can prove that the American government does not go after child predators, that people like Bongino and Cash Patel and Bondi will be like, there's a file, there's no file, there is a file, it's on my desk, but there isn't anything in it. There is stuff in it, but we're going to redact it at the Department of Justice. No, the Department of Justice didn't redact it. The FBI redacted it and then sent it to us no, there's not really child predators in there, but there are, but we haven't prosecuted them because they're inside. Just all the, where does the merry-go-round stop? Consented to be governed, really? Did you ever expressly consent to be governed by people that actively protect child predators and that actively blow up school children, no matter what color they are? I didn't. Call me anti-Semitic because I'm anti-Israel? I don't care what God you pray to. None of my business, man. Your perspective of how you view the earth. My wife is calling me. She's going to interrupt this thing too. I'm going to get off because my wife's a priority. One sec. My wife's a priority because I have principles. I'm calling her right now. Hey, I know I said I was recording, but I just want to ask you a question. Do you think harming children is wrong?
100%.
100%? Does it matter what color those children are?
It doesn't matter.
Does it matter what does it matter what religion that those children's parents are?
Oh, come on. We're not in the middle age, right?
Right. Exactly my point. Hey guys, I'm going to pause this for a little bit and talk to my beloved wife because I have principles and she's my priority. One sec. My wife's a jewel, man. She told me to continue recording this. I've already recorded a couple videos this morning, but I don't want it to drag on too long. In this country, they operate off the idea of consent of the governed, that the government, should it not fulfill those terms, should be altered or abolished. Not my words. They're housed by the American government in Philadelphia, along with the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence and whatnot. Crazy to me that 250 years later, they can't codify the Declaration of Independence into something that states that if the government is in the foreign employ of a foreign nation state, which it is through Israel, they don't allow any other country in the world to do it. But then we're going to have this country take the weapons that we sit here and design and build ourselves, go over and blow up school children with them. I'm going to say that almost 100% of the country wouldn't agree to that. Republican or Democrat or independent, libertarian, whatever. I could sit here and beat that horse with a stick until it was pulverized into dust. Yet here we are. We can sit here and argue consent, what type of consent task. You know what? Let me just get you a list. You guys are going to love this because we talk about it all the time. Consent of the governed, Judeo-Christian. There's a lot of words that are thrown around that don't really mean a whole lot. Judeo-Christian, so in reference to Abrahamic religions. Islam's in there too. You don't hear Islamo-Christian, but everybody thinks that Israel and Christian are married to the hip. Let's go over the different types of consent. Things that you hear that you ought to pay more attention to. Consent of the governed. Everybody that's ever read the Declaration of Independence has heard that the government gets its just powers through the consent of the governed. It states it all the time. But it never says what type of consent. There are explicit consent, directly and clearly given, the type of consent that you give when you buy a car, often in writing or verbally. Implicit consent, inferred from actions, facts, or circumstances rather than directly expressed, which is the type of consent that they usually think because you happen to exist where you were born and that gives them the right or dominion over you. Informed consent, granted after receiving all relevant information about a procedure or action, understanding risks and benefits. Opt-in consent requires an affirmative action like checking a box to agree. So when you go somewhere and they want you to check the little box or initial it, that's opt-in consent. Opt-out consent, assumed unless a person actively declines. Parental guardian consent, that's a consent that you give your children to go on a field trip. Verbal consent granted through spoken agreement rather than written, still valid in a court of law. In some places it depends, and it depends on the context. Written consent, documented permission, usually formal and legally recognized, which is also something that is the most common type of consent, whether you're renting a house, buying a house, contracting utilities, these type of things. Implied sexual consent. Situational consent inferred from actions or context varies widely in legal and ethical interpretation. Applies to Epstein's Island. I'm pretty sure that was lacking. Digital and electronic consent. Agreement giving via electronic methods, emails, click-throughs, digital signatures. All these different types of consent. Why are you bringing that up? Because we talk about consent of the governed in this country, which vis-a-vis means that you basically approve of what the government's doing. And I'm saying that you can have all these people of different political affiliations, even though it's within the same nation state, the United States, that would unilaterally claim that harming children is wrong. The fifth commandment, thou shalt not kill. Sixth commandment, according to some, kill, murder. Thou shalt not murder if you get down to the brass tacks of the original language and translations. But even that, thou shalt not murder, applies morality, who has a right to do it, who has a right legally to do it. And then when they want to talk about in Romans that you should go along with the government. But the Hebrews didn't like being beaten down by the Egyptian government and being slaves, so they took off. They didn't abide by the government. That was the government of the time. You get people that'll twist all this stuff and contort it. They'll contort news. They'll sit there and act like they got some in-the-know thing when they don't. They just want to sell you some products. You know, and I'm not talking about Ed so much right now. I'm talking more about Ironclad in general. The amount of ads within the video itself is wild, like ads every 3 minutes. This is on Ironclad's El Mencho. After El Mencho, Mexico's cartels may shift to full-scale insurgency. I posted some narco mantras on my channel yesterday. You can take a look at them. My own unit, GOTPay, which became Frizz, is involved in a lot of stuff right now, directly against Cartel de Jalisco de Nueva Generación. But we got all this stuff, you know, and not being dismissive of stuff that's going on, because I have a home right there. My wife and I own it, and all of our furniture is in it. In fact, the furniture I built, you can see the furniture I built in my home with the skull and the spear and everything up on the wall. It's a fact. This is my home. But even with all that stuff going on, you know what I disagree with even more than that? Is killing little kids of any religion, even if they're little Jew babies. Killing kids of any religion, even if they're little Muslim babies or Christian babies or Native American babies or the babies of atheist parents. Because let's face it, our religion is basically predicated upon where we're born. I shot this thing over here on this camera. I shot it on the other camera. I was going on why Kamala Harris holds exculpatory evidence from somebody at death row. Why I voted for Trump, didn't vote for Trump, and voted for Joe Jorgensen and Spike Lee. It's all bullshit. It's all meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. And I'm not selling you a product. I'm not trying to sell you a product. You know why? Because you know what's going on with YouTube grifter land in general. And you know what goes on with the inner workings of the cartel stuff. Doesn't mean anything, man. It's not worth selling products. When we got stuff like sexual abuse going on Epstein's Island being covered up by the United States government in the largest scale, the largest, what do they want to call it? A conspiracy theory, except it's not a conspiracy, it's a fact. all of the politicians in the United States bought and paid for by a foreign actor blowing up weapons that I've used to turn the lights on, blowing up school children with weapons I use to keep the lights on and pay for everything that you're looking at here. I have developed or built weapons for the United States government for a long time in my career, as have other members of my family, up to including, and we don't talk, we're not super close, but an immediate family member of mine was in charge of Skunk Works. And you know, I believe in having a strong military. I do. I totally believe in that. And I believe in supporting my home country. And my home country also is Mexico. I have a home there. And if you don't like it, I don't care, man. But I also agree in keeping the United States safer. Safe is not something that exists. And without going down a great big long diatribe, I agree in protecting your own. Protecting those of us here. You know what doesn't protect those of us here? Well, no. We'll just keep one point. I do not agree with going over, and I read that letter. That's what he had to say. They pose no threat. And then you're going to go over there and blow up their children. If someone blew up your children, is that keeping us safer here? Bearing in mind, safety does not exist. We're in nature. We exist within the constructs and the laws of that confine. So there is no safe. Safe keep you safe. Nobody keeps you safe except for you, man. 100, here we go. My wife is blowing up my phone again, dude, without a doubt. 100%. Here we go. She's sending me something else. Let's see what this is.
A message to the President of the United States. The outcome of war cannot be determined by tweets. The result of a war is determined in the field, the very place where you and your forces do not dare to approach, and you can only talk about it in your tweets. It's better to name this war as Epic Fear instead of Epic Fury.
You know, I wanted to say something about that too, because he's sitting there going on and on and on. I'm glad she sent me that right now. There's no such thing as safety. All those officers in the hall at Uvalde didn't keep any of those children safe. They sat there and let them be slaughtered for a while. It's not a slam on Uvalde. It's just you got all these outsiders. And I'm talking about the vet bro community, talking about what goes on in Mexico. They don't have the slightest idea. I'm not being disrespectful to their service or their uniform or their brotherhood or anything. I'm just calling things by their proper names, man. Don't get mad. Those of us that have worked in Mexico, including Ed, know exactly what goes on in Mexico. And I submit that it's not something that should be sold because there are real human price tags on the other side of that. And this guy sitting here, he's speaking truth. This war is not going to be determined by tweets. And when you actually are fighting a war, Barron shouldn't be sent. The person that should be sent is Donald Trump. He's going to, I have the honor of taking Cuba, blah, blah, blah. You go over there and take it. Because, I could be a whole hell of a lot more descriptive about what goes on in Mexico, about what I've seen in Mexico. And I'm not. Do you know why? Because I was there. All right? I personally, Dave Frank, was there present. Not talking about it and tweeting about it from the White House. Directly taking part in it. Not at an advisory level. Right there. Immediately. I think that the people that want to usher in war should be the very first ones sent to go fight it themselves every time. I would go. I would require that and do require that of myself, and other people should too. It is never okay to be killing children, man. I don't care if you're in the middle of a war. In fact, they've had Geneva Conventions drawn up specifically talking about this, man. So it's not even my own idea at this point. It's something on a global level, people have come together and robustly decried as wrong on an international level. And you're going to go in there and blow them up, not once, but twice. And then talk about Cubans living in Cuban territory with no lights in excess of 24 to even 48 hours is my great honor. After looking at Melania's uber extravagance or wealth of Mar-a-Lago and everything else, you guys think that you're American royalty, dude. Ushered in by the consent that is nowhere near being express consent to where people openly agree to have you as their president. I don't agree to take the guns first, due process second, never had. It is disgusting that in this entire country of 330 plus million people, that you three were the candidates. That is an abject failure of our system of governments, and I don't know what the correct answer looks like, but I'm sure as hell it isn't by being governed by the UN, which is right there above FDR Drive in New York, right on top of it. It's not by being governed by Israel or by the Rothschilds or any of the other people that are sitting boughs above pulling the strings. This is all real stuff. I trust Democrats of basically every flavor and Republicans and independent people vastly more than I trust any of the ruling class. They are so far removed from reality and consequences of their own actions. Not even their own actions, their own decrees. The billionaire class. I've got stuff I can sit here and say, I want to be working on Mexico, but this is more immediate and more urgent. Who is Dave that you should listen to, Dave? Another human being just like you. We should be talking about this, which is why I am. You cannot sit in political apathy, which I have mostly spent most of my life, free, running free, wild and free, Russia, Bering Sea, Mexico, wherever, every single state, almost every state in Mexico too, a few different oblasts in Russia, been all over, and then other things I'm not even going to talk about. Running free, politically apathetic, do not care. You know what I care about? I care about other people harming children, man. I got shot in the head. It was right there on Julian Doris. I've been around enough of these things right now. I've got something else getting ready to go on with Gooseberry. I'm going to call him a little bit. To where if I wasn't for real, I wouldn't be able to call out Vince and Ed as I can. And I've clearly called them both out. Calling out Gape 423. Calling out everybody else in the entire grifter community. It's just like Kat Schultz. No personal attacks. I think Vince is a stud. I like Ed. And Kat, I think she has a lot of moxie to go where she goes, but I think that everything is grossly misrepresented. I am who I say I am. Glenn Beck, Julian Dory, the whole list of podcasts that I've been on. Camp Gagnon, Hector Bravo, Johnny Mitchell, and I've got these guys by the short and curly, some of them, about totally misrepresenting things. And it's disgusting, and they all do it to sell products, man, and I'm not going to be that way. Where I draw the line is when... I'll say this about Mexico. I saw a lot of really crazy shit in Mexico, dude. Some of my brothers that are on Friz right now, that are still people I worked with, post some crazy fucking shit on Instagram, man. Crazy. And I'll put their channels in here. You ought to listen to them. I'm by far not the most hardcore person from my unit or whatever, man. By far. I'm like low on the totem pole, man. My brothers are way more valiant than I am, and they're involved in some crazy shit. But I'm definitely who I say I am. And you know what? The whole time I was there, you know what was virtually non-existent? You want to know what wasn't there? The killing of kids, man. I've seen a woman beheaded. I've seen men beheaded. I've seen men tortured and hung from bridges. I have been in gunfights. I have seen people with their heads blown out. Seen someone with their hand blown off. Other people with their heads blown open. I've seen a lot of stuff. You know what you don't see in Mexico with all of our cartel brutality? 150 school children being killed. in a place where we have the most violent political environment in the entire world, to where politicians and reporters are routinely dispatched, to where Johnny Mitchell will sit there and joke about it, dispatched, and Julian Dory will sit there and talk, well, that was really a different era, when neither one of them know the first thing about the reality of living a place like that. Dispatched, gone, dead, going on. There was a general, there were 3 generals that I worked with. My general, the general that he worked with immediately, that they were always together, almost always, and another general. The 3rd general, you would always see him running around the track too. They were always on top of it. Bona fide Mexican military generals, 3 of them. And one of the general that was always with my general, would always talk about, you know what, Frank, it's just death. There's nothing glorious or honorable about it. Because I was really proud about what I'd gone down there to do, which was to fight the people that were giving kids drugs. And he told me, you know, Frank, it's just death. There's nothing glorious or glamorous about any of this. They're just dead. They're gone. That's it. Game over. And he always was really somber and serious about that. I'm not going to give his name. If he sees this, or if his children see this, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because he says it all the time. But to watch, and that is true, there's a lot of truth in that. When you go get into a fight or something, there's not right, there's not wrong, there's just who's left, and that's it. But when you're killing children and then parking another Tomahawk missile on top of the same place to go get the rescuers of those children, so you're not only killing children, you're making sure that if any children survive, the children that you parked a Tomahawk missile on top of to begin with were alive, you're going to go in there and kill them again. That's pretty fucking far removed from any values I choose to be associated with here or in Mexico or anywhere. And I'm pretty sure that I can speak almost across the board for every grown-ass man of any color or any religion in this fucking country, okay? Or in Mexico too, because even in Mexico, where we get it on, where we don't talk about it, where we're not tweeting about something from afar and putting up some bullshit ironclad, if it checks 2 or 3 boxes, we can publish it because it empowers our bank account and it's engaging, right, Jeremy Carey? Where we're about it, you're going to go out, you're going to get in your truck, you're going to touch the top of the concrete bridge that goes across, and you're going to fucking hope that you make it back to base, because you might not, because people don't. But we're going to fucking leave kids out of it. But here, they're going to say that you consent to sending Tomahawk missiles over at the behest of a foreign country, because every single American politician has been purchased by that foreign country, and that all of us consent to be governed by these clowns, are going to consent to not sending one, but sending another missile on top of it to make sure that we kill any rescuers and any survivors of those little children, of whom aren't even little boys, which would still be a step up, but little girls. And then on top of that, the same nation has gone over to another place and just killed almost every single baby sleeping in their cribs. I don't know what the answer is, but I fucking know it ain't that, man. I don't have to be the smartest guy. I don't have to be the most articulate. I bought some veneers for $500. You know what? I don't like them. So I'm going to chill out with this, because a lot of people like to take issue with what I say by attacking how I look or attacking how I talk. I have had insurance for 2 years. No meth abuse here. I lost this in a fight, making sure your kid didn't get drugs, okay? I'm not going to take issue with it. If you don't like it, it's not my problem. The problem's with you. You know, I'm getting older, man. My wife told me I'm not supposed to challenge people to the octagon. There's an octagon just north of here, man. I would love to get in the ring with some of you guys. You know, a lot of people talk a lot of smack on a lot of the videos that I've done, but they won't put any smack on the video where I post an entire montage proving who I am and my background and what I'm about. I got a whole montage video up on my channel addressed to you haters and haterade. There's no troll comments on it, man. I can't fucking figure it out. It's like, where'd you guys go? There's an octagon just north of here. Some of you troll hater people want to go get in it. Go a few rounds. I told you this before. Look at this. Polish defense. 100% offense. Defense all the time. I got a sense of humor. But I'm not kidding about going up there. But you know what I'm not about? I'm not about killing fucking kids. And hey, Donald, I'm about Donald Trump. I'm about when I say I'm going to go fight a drug war or whatever, I actually fucking show up in person, unlike you. And I voted for you too because I couldn't vote for Kamala, who would sit there and let a death row inmate, even though he's a scumbag, deserves to be in prison, but he didn't deserve the death penalty, and there's exculpatory evidence, and she withheld it in complete contradiction or violation of her own principles. And she's not even true to herself about whether she's Hindu or black. I don't care what color you are, but be honest, man. So there's that. Chase Oliver, I can't vote for him because he's who I consider to be a child groomer. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just going to say that he would support things with children that I do not support, such as them reading stories, whatever, man, whatever it is. I had to vote for Trump. I do not agree with killing children. I do not agree with initiating violence ever. Unless someone's imminently going to kill you. And by imminent, I mean like they're right there with a weapon on top of your shit, dude. And I'm pretty fucking sure I speak for every single man with a conscience in this country. And I'm pretty sure when we shouldn't be killing children, especially little girls. And I'm super sure that I'm not Judeo-Christian. If I'm Christian, and I am, my Christianity is in basis of Jesus Christ, not what somebody who wrote the Bible and compiled it 4 centuries after Jesus was unalived has to say about it like a sewing circle. I'm not going to be tied to that at all. Not at all. Not any more than the Jews were tied to their Egyptian slave-holding masters were tied to it. Enough out of me for the day. I'm going to upload this and we'll just see what's up. You know, killing schoolgirls, the gallon of gas has gone up by another $1 per gallon here. I've worked 2 full-time jobs, literally, and going to school to try to make sure that I take great care of my wife, man, because she fucking deserves it, dude. Her heart is just crazy good. She's Mexican. A lot of us here in this country have so much to do with each other. White's married with black. Who's the comedian guy that loves getting black girlfriends? He's all over the place. Latinos and Europeans coexisting for centuries. None of us on board with fucking killing kids, man. And if you are a warmonger, you are the last fucking person we ought to be following, man. Because your moral code is departed the norm by quite a bit. Your own counterterrorism expert sitting there saying point blank that they weren't a threat. Being way too kind to Trump, in my opinion. Enough out of me for the day, guys. Have a wonderful day. I've made a bunch of other videos, but I'm not going to upload them because I don't want to ramble. I'm just going to cut this off right here. Killing little girls is bad. And if you can't be on board with that, there's nothing to talk. If you think killing little girls is good, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to do you a favor. Out there in the entire YouTube land, I'm not selling you fucking mattresses like Katerina Schultz or flannels like Sean Ryan or whatever these guys are selling. I'm just going to fucking tell you this. I'm getting older. I'm not as strong as I used to be. But I used to train and I still try to take a little bit. If you think, I don't care who you are, I don't care how big you are, if you think killing little children is okay, they got this backyard fights right up here in Washington. I want to go there. I want to put on the gloves. I want to go a few rounds with you. And then after that, I want to have dinner with you. I'll buy it. I'll buy. and I'm completely a man of my word, I'll go up there, we'll go a few rounds, and then we'll see. I want to talk to you in person. Having been a man doing man stuff, right? Little jabs. Not going to die, not going to be bad. And then we'll go talk about it like men about why you think it's okay to kill little schoolgirls, no matter who they are. And I want to video it. I'm going to video the whole thing, and we're going to put it on, and we're going to get people's attention. And if your side of the debate is stronger than mine, you can bring me over to sway me, if you will, to your perspective about why it is okay to kill little girls. And bear in mind, you can park these tomahawks right on top of a gnat's ass. You can hit one on a car. I think right on top of a car. I think the air range on that is something about 3 meters or whatever. It's a couple. You know what? We'll just look it up real quick because we got to know. Let me see. How accurate Tomahawk missiles? Because we got to know. What is the deviation range? I got to look right here. I'm still waiting for this thing. Here it is. Typical accuracy about 5 to 10 meters, right? So 15 to 30 feet. When you hit, that's typical accuracy. I bet that's not even laser guide. Can reroute. Uses GPS, inertial navigation, terrain matching guidance. Can reroute in flight. So, overall, it's designed for precision strikes on high-value targets. A precision strike on a high-value target, you know what? They got that one right. The value of a little girl's life is pretty high value, but why you would intentionally strike, that's beyond me. If you can bring me over to your side about why that is, I'll issue a public apology, man. Not cool. Not cool, you know. I'm kind of flipping about how not cool is not even close. 5 to 10 meters accuracy, so I'm wrong. It's not 3 meters, it's 5. I was off by 2 meters. 5 meters accuracy, so you can basically walk to the other side of your house, and that is the extent of the accuracy on it. So, I mean, when they dropped that thing right in the middle of a schoolyard, that's what they were trying to hit. And then when they did it again, that's what they were trying to hit. It wasn't in error in coordinates. They meant to do it because they want to provoke Iran into a war, per what Netanyahu himself said on a previous video I already put up. Sometimes you have to bomb people into going to war. You know what? Let me pause this real quick. Here you go.
These don't go to war easily, and they usually debate and argue before they do. Sometimes they have to be bombed into going to war. There is no question whatsoever that Saddam is seeking and is working and is advancing towards the development of nuclear weapons. No question whatsoever. If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region.
Benjamin Netanyahu has publicly said the September 11th attacks have been good for Israel.
Hans, are we the baddies?
Nations, democracies don't go to war.
You know, I'm not even going to tell you guys what to think. We have a problem in this country. We have a huge problem in this country. And it is our internal principles that we want to live by. And I would say that killing children right off the top of it and allowing children to be abused down on an island and then having a Justice Department and then the FBI themselves cover up everything in it and not even admit to the public or be honest with the public about what it is. Because even that could be something that would be moderately acceptable. Hey, it's a huge problem. This is what it is. Going forward, we need to prosecute, blah, 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 blah. You don't even get that. You get them covering up for it in front of Congress. Yeah, that's it out of me today, guys. Have a wonderful day.